Bump Love is brought to you by
Unlimited internet at unbeatable prices. Dial *125# to activate your monthly unlimited internet. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Hello and welcome back to Bump Love. If you're new here, this is a space where we have conversations on womanhood, parenting, and motherhood. If you've always been here, darling, welcome back to the show. Remember, we're just conversation starters. 1 hour of banter and conversation doesn't mean we've finished the entire topic. So let us know in the comment section some angles that we didn't look at, some new ways we could have seen the conversation that we're having today. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
I thought I was just with our viewers. I'm sorry, dears. You are welcome
You forgot?
to the show. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I mean, a few weeks back, there was a video going around of a boy who had disrespected his mother, and so she called some ammunition. She called a former veteran to come and speak sense into her son. Watch the video.
Doing like she crazy, cursing at her, telling her what you won't do. You won't clean your room. You won't do what you want to do, and you talk to your mother like that, like you tough. Do you think you tough, little man? Talk to me like you talk to your mother. Talk to me. You think you tough, don't you? Boss up on me, cuss me out. Tell me you ain't gonna do what I say do. I dare you. I dare you. You ain't gonna do it to me? Why you do it to her? Today it ends. Do you understand? You will not call your mother out of her name ever again.
Whoa,
Right?
Initial thoughts.
Yeah.
So my thoughts were on a pendulum swing. Okay. Yeah, I started with like, oh my gosh, that's harsh. Who talks to children like that? And then I kind of thought, okay, put yourself in her shoes. Maybe she's a single mom.
Yes.
She doesn't have a male figure in the house. Or maybe this child has been consistently disrespectful or consistently been ignoring her instructions. She's tired, she's frustrated with life, and she's like, I just need someone to say what I have been saying over the last, I don't know how many weeks, months, maybe to say it in a different way and help him see that what he's doing is wrong. So I swung back to that position, and I am learning not to always take my initial position, because my initial position is who I am. Yeah, I mostly lean towards empathy. I'm like, oh my gosh, the child. Why would anyone talk to a child? Right? Yeah. And so when I thought about all of that, I was like, okay, maybe I don't agree with the methods, but I can see how we could have arrived at this position. And maybe the veteran is like an uncle or close to the family.
Yeah, I don't think that they would have just randomly
called anyone
office and said, could you please assist us with a veteran? My child is acting up.
Some
have been in the community somewhere. And they
Someone she knew, definitely.
I felt sadness. I started playing the video. I watched it a couple of times, but then I would always, the first couple of seconds, they show the mother's face. There was a feeling of despair, like, what more? What more that we could get to this. And as a parent, as a mother especially, most times we believe that we have answers to everything. I can fix a tear, I can fix a wound, I can kiss the pain away. But when you find yourself in that position whereby you have no choice but bring in somebody else to speak to this child that you love so much, personally, I really felt a sadness. Yeah.
I saw actually there's a point when I was looking like you at the mom. And for me, what I got from her, I saw a mom who was, I felt desperation, a sense of helplessness.
Yes.
Actually, my initial thought, if you asked me to describe it, was poor mom.
Yeah.
That for me was my initial thought of poor mom, to have gone to such lengths and extremes to discipline her child. What did this child do?
Yeah.
And yes, there are people who of the gentle parenting cult that would say there are other ways that you could have, you know, but maybe she did or maybe she did not practice them. We don't know. But mine was poor mom. I saw restraint.
Yes.
I saw restraint. Like, I want to love you. I want to, but I have no more options. Like, I saw her wanting, she's the one who has called the guy, but she's the same one who wants to say, leave my child alone, you know. But I felt like she kept reminding herself that I called him here for a reason. I need help. I am suffering. I need help. And I remember, I think I shared on that teenage episode before, there are times when, let me tell you the truth, I think my mother wanted to drive me. We used to stay on Gaza Road. I think my mother, there are many times, wanted to drive me to Kasangati police station. Just leave me there. For some. But me, I saw points where the intention came in. Because there were points when I would anger my mom so much, and I could see that if I add on an extra ounce or an extra kilogram, we are in Kasangati police station.
And that's why you stop yourself.
But she's seething through her teeth, you know? And my mom was not the type of, let me talk to your dad, I'll wait for your father, which I hear in many homes. No, for her it was, I'll discipline you there, but it was never caning. It was just, my mom used to talk a lot, you know? like, and ramble on and ramble on and ramble.
You know, as mothers, we are lovers, we are nurturers. So we love on these kids so much. And now it's very clear that this has not been a once-off. This boy has been doing this over and over again. I mean, someone can't just do something maybe twice and then you call a veteran. This boy has been disrespecting his mother consistently. And you could tell that she really loves him, but like he has thrown her off. Like, she has looked for all options, they've failed. Now let me do it the hard way. Like, it comes from a love place. You know how you it comes from a place of love, because you don't want your child to keep doing this. If they're disrespecting you, they're obviously going to disrespect other people. And you do not want that to happen. So when I saw that, as a mother of boys, I'm like, yes. Yes, I'm like, yes. Because these boys, because we are lovers, they tend to, like, we don't relate with boys because we are women. They understand the male version. When a male person speaks, they hear. When I get tough, like I'm a calm person, but they throw me off all the time. My voice, I will scream and I'll lose my voice because I feel like they're not getting it. Like, sometimes yes, but when my husband speaks, I tell already he has in that veteran command. They will run immediately. So boys listen when men speak. They see and act. When it's a woman, they're like, you don't know me. Me, I'm a boy. You're a woman. You don't understand me. You're just coming for me. You don't get it. Even when he doesn't lay his bed, I think he thinks, you don't know boy things. You're a woman. So I'm like, Bambi, like you said, poor mom. She has no other option. Probably the father has also failed, because even if it's an absent father, he could call through and say, "Gway, get yourself together." But everything has failed. So now let's get the veteran. I tell you, even if the veteran is not related.
That's true.
You get, like I could, he's on the villa.
I have said before,
I need
now
you
see the
to
four
help
of you
me.
have consistently present men in your sons' lives. Me, who has predominantly lived with my child by myself, I can tell my son the same thing 10 times. Random border man on the streets tells it to him. And he'll come in and even tell me the instruction. What I've been telling him.
So true.
Any man, random man on the street, anywhere, it will sink into that thing.
That's it.
Yes, actually yes. Right from children to adult men. You just need to tell the guy's best friend to buy into your idea. Help me. He just says it once.
And it's done.
Husband he'll even come and present it back to you.
Because one person has been telling me
So I when I saw that video, Auntie, I'm the ones of gentle, who loves children. So my heart broke for that boy. My heart broke for him because, many times in the inadequacy of our parenting, we instill our inadequacy on our children. And so you find that this boy has been I keep telling people, never worry what your children hear you say, worry what they see you do. Yeah. Right now, she's just told her son that when somebody doesn't listen to you, intimidate. And they will do immediately. To even make it sadder for me, especially for lack of, I mean, I can imagine that she's a single mom. When when we saw the video, she's a single mom. She must be struggling. She must be going through so much. And this behavior started on a certain day. Yes. And she saw. And something probably told her, catch it, nip it in the bud, stop it. But maybe they had not paid her. Maybe she didn't have food on the table. Maybe she was still cooking. But guess what? Because she didn't nip it in the bud on that day, here we are. With her son on social media, his children for generations will always remember, my grandfather is this one. He never even used to listen. Even me when I don't listen, but you see my grandfather. Here she is. Because of that cut thing. And when you see that there's something that your child has done, in the discomfort of it, get it there. And for me, what my problem was when I saw this entire video, as I realized that this boy might not change. You know why? He's seeing this behavior from someone. And that person is in her life. Or in his life. He's seeing someone disrespect his mother. That's why it's possibly. And, yes. And so he's going to continue to.
Or he has seen another child disrespect their mother and they are copying. Like there's many scenarios anyway. There's many scenarios.
Because that's a thing with a video like this where you just see 30 seconds and you believe you see. So that's why I was thinking about all the different ways. And so in my mind I'm like, God, I hope that the person in her life that might be, if there is a person in her life disrespecting her, you know those boyfriends they get as they are single mothers, or so that person needs to leave. Because no matter how much you shout, as long as he continues to see someone disrespect his mother, that is still an option. So for me, that I felt sad because she was inadequate and he faced.
So now that you're all parents yourselves,
right?
How are you handling this continuous disrespect in your homes? If there is any, maybe you guys don't have any disrespect, but also for you that have, your husbands, are the modes of punishment, do you agree on which mode of punishment to give your children? How is that going in your homes?
One thing I'm super grateful, we never ever spoke about it, but it just worked out, is in all the years, 20 plus, I think we've disagreed on punishment once.
Oh, wow.
Once. Wow. I grew up in that kind of home where even if dad comes and finds you with half your teeth jumping out, he would never question, because that's where the children start finding leeway. So with regards to the kind of punishment that was meted out, it was always universal. If mom has said, that's it. If dad has said, that's it. But if I was to talk about disrespect in children, because my kids are older, I'm at that point where by now the thing that works is silence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because you are not going to now sit and speak to a 24-year-old or pull his ears or smack him around, or it's about if I did my job right, then his conscience should be able to wake up and speak to them.
Yep.
So now with the boys, I see something, I'm like,
silence.
Silence. Before you know it,
they come around.
Yeah.
I think at the back of my mind, I think for me, I really try and emphasize training and patience. Oh, yeah. And then we have some sort of escalation policy at home, which will be chiboko, spanking. And so we do a lot of talking and a lot of conversation. But I'm very passionate about gentle parenting, in case it was not obvious. Gentle parenting obviously emphasizes empathy, it emphasizes understanding, boundaries, all those nice things, which I think as parents you would want your child to have, but you cannot parent one style You can't just be a gentle parent. There has to be a time for being authoritative. And so I find that for us, we do a lot of talking and training. I think we don't spend enough time training our children, which is why when they do wrong things, we get frustrated and we go from 0 to 100 in a very short span of time. So now I'm learning, even if I have said something 2-3 times, I'm always giving room for him to self-correct. Yes, I find that that's very important. I don't want to intimidate him into changing. I want him to learn that there are consequences to doing things. And when you catch yourself, try and correct yourself before I have to bring the rod of correction. So again, there's that scripture that talks about foolishness being bound in the heart of the child, and the rod of correction drives it far away from him. So I was reading about that scripture, and it actually says, so it likens the rod of correction to what shepherds use for sheep. They don't beat sheep into submission. You guide them firmly but gently, and so steer them, because sheep are known to be foolish and stupid, and so you sort of guide them firmly but gently. So me, I've come to that place in my parenting journey, and with Ben, because now I also try. Before I used to challenge him, I'd be like, I don't know if that's. I think you're being unfair, and sometimes I'll do it in the hearing of Michael. So but now I caught myself, so I'll allow the discipline to take place, and then I'll have a conversation with him, like, okay, maybe we need to be a bit more. We need to do a bit more training. We can't be saying, don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that, do this. He has to see us do. He has to observe us doing. And then let's get him to a place of self-correction. Of course, that won't happen all the time because he's a child. And so there will be that gentle but firm guidance. So we have the escalation policy of, okay, now we have been training and talking, but so let us add a but it's mostly guiding.
Oh, you've reminded me of when you were younger and would argue about mode of punishment. Let me punish my kids. No, do this. Like, we would not agree when they were younger because I was trying to understand them. And now I punish them according to the mode they understand better. One of them wants to words will take him crying. You tell him, speak to him, how dare you? Can you imagine? Then he will be very, very ashamed of himself. The other one, speak however you want. Speak however you want. Me, Chiboko, the road is what you have to bring. So it's different because they're different temperaments, so different modes work for them. So we would argue a lot in that perspective. I'm like, but wait, because for him, my husband will get angry about something and spank immediately. Like he would be like that snipping immediately of let me. So I would be like, but wait, has he understood why you're hitting him? And he goes like, let me do my job. Let me discipline my children. You don't tell me I'm the father. For me, I'm like, but wait, they need to understand. Then I was reminded of a time when my mom was telling me, when you're caning a child, tell him, I'm hitting you for what? So I would want him to do exactly that. And he's like, chill me, because he's already angry about something. He's disciplining his child, and here I am disagreeing. So I've learned to let him be. It's been a while since we last argued about, and also Bambi, they've understood that. Chiboko here, when you're consistently in discipline, so they are kind of betterly behaved lately. But we used to argue. But lately, I feel like it's the same mode. Even when he's doing his thing, I'm like, the conqueror, the king. Do your thing. Discipline. Until they are boys, for me, they won't understand me. Do your thing. Me even, because now Makil, my last son, his son who is a bit, because he hasn't been disciplined properly like the first two. So he found me a bit tired. He disrespects me here and there. So the husband, I'm like, Mukwano, first help me on this one, because the other two, he put them in line. Those ones I speak, they listen. Because now I also learned that, Bano, this one, he doesn't click me. I'm the woman, let the man come. So I have that balance. I let him do his role because he's supposed to be a disciplinarian in the home. So I let him be. I don't argue with him anymore. Over your caning, over you'll speak after they've understood. Do your thing.
I love it. I don't think that Brian and I have ever agreed. Oh. Really, honestly. I feel that we've disagreed. Actually. Many times. He's always clearly told me, you're very good with children. Like at a certain age, after that, chireke mukubanga toja kasobola.
Kano kaba
For young ones. Babies. Who you just say, and because you have their milk, they have to listen. Now you have growing teenagers who have a mind of their own, who don't care. And so we've, I think now is that, especially now that they are preteens, a few months ago I shared with you guys I was struggling with, some consistent behavior that Bianca was doing, and I was running mad. Brian was running mad. And for that one, it was those deal breakers, like something that you don't want you to ever hear that your child has ever done. And for that one, I'll be honest with you guys, I took to my knees.
You prayed about it.
I prayed. I cried out to God. I said, Mukama, and we fold our legs. We said, do like this with your children. And my knees miss. Oh my God. I remember crying, praying, and then handing her over to the one who raised me. I went to Brian.
You're veteran.
I said she's not. She's now tired. She's a grandma. Because I knew if I stayed with her, it was not going to be good. It was really not going to be good. But I remember that I talked to Brian. I said, Brian, can I take Bianca to mommy? And he said, Kawa. Bianca came back.
She's a changed woman. They prayed for her.
That's what I
know. She prayed every night. The demons had to get lost of being disrespectful.
Hey, mommy was a veteran to the demons.
They had to leave.
It was so bad. But yeah, that's for me it's usually.
But Manuela, there's a scripture you always talk about, and for me it speaks volumes. The one where you were telling us that in the Bible they said that the husbands, children would listen to the instruction
of the father
and the teaching of the mother. So for me, I was very aware that the instruction that they hear comes from the father. Then for us, we teach.
I recall when you talk about God, I remember my mom. So when I turned out the way I turned out, because I turned out great.
Well, it turned out amazing, darling.
Eventually, turned out great. It's a question that I have had conversations with my mom. So many people will come and say, hey, Pumla, how you turned out versus who you were. People like to speak like that, the ones who were in my past with me. But my mom never has. And it's a question I asked her once. I said, but Mom, I don't feel like you've ever come out to, I thought I would feel that sigh of relief of Barange Fuchs. And my mom told me, Pumla, you were never my child to raise. I was just helping God raise you. Wow. When the 5 of you were all born, I gave you to God. Wow. So that journey might have been difficult, but I always knew at the end of the day, you're for God. You're not my child to raise. You're just in my house. Wow. Yeah. Wherever you end up, that is it. But I gave you to God. And that you're his child. So now let him be the one to stress over you. Not me. I just went through the journey of it. Yeah, maybe I'm the one who hustled through it. But me, I always knew that where you are now, is where you are going to end up. You want me to show you that I'm like, yes, you've done great. And she celebrates us the same way. So because how my sister started, she started A, and she's ended up A. So my mom celebrates her for that A. Yes. But she celebrates me for my A the same way. Yes. Panda. We made it on graduation. Like you're saying, I didn't know where this girl would end up. Oh my God, I'm so relieved. She never says nothing. At the end of the day, he was the one responsible for your well-being, your safety, your security, everything. And how you turned out. And I have found, in between my relationship with my mother at the time, the few snippets of time I realized that I was at better behavior was at the time when our relationship was better. So when I keep reflecting back to that relationship with my mom, I realized with my child that to effectively target behavior change in children, especially problematic children, the first and foremost thing you need to do is just strengthen your relationship with them. There is a core underneath their actions or lack thereof. And usually it's a broken relationship, which you can't fix by anything else. There is something broken underneath here that you're not seeing. So this child maybe is, for example, maybe this child is mimicking behavior. You know, I used to have issues. I started my period when my mom wasn't there. My father is the one who used to take me to the gyne. He's the one who used to talk to me about, what did he know about periods? My father used to have to study about periods because he has 4 girls. He had 4 girls, and we started our periods with our father. Our mother wasn't there. And he's the one who took us through everything, you see. So for me, it made me realize that, okay, I can do so many of these other things. So with Teja right now, my son is 14. I lead with connection. And I thank my God for that. I thank him so much for it, that route that I took is not where I see him taking. So I'm leading with connection now. We will literally have conversations. And I try to get to that. Because sometimes he will act out. And I'll ask him, there's a time he used to use abusive language. And I would ask him, so why do you use abusive language? Why did you use that curse word? And then he'll say, no, but I was just mad. I was just upset about it. So then I ask him, okay, so you were mad, but don't you think we can find other better ways, healthier ways to express ourselves? Let's talk about it. Why were you mad? So you can express yourself better. How can we address that mad that you felt? How can we address that better? And you see, and you listen. Now you see moms with their sons. We don't listen, we talk.
And then
moms like to talk to their sons. Try listening, it drives them mad. Actually, it makes them withdraw. They behave exactly like your husbands do when you talk too much.
It's true.
And I just want to add, I think there was a time I told Ben, I felt like we were doing a lot of, I'm going to call it parenting for the sake of this conversation. Don't do this. Have you woken up? You've not done this. You didn't take your plate to the kitchen. I see this place. It's messy. And I was like, I feel like we are doing a lot of that as opposed to connection, as opposed to building friendship and building some sort of relationship with Micah. And I remember when I told him, I said, I think we need to, I'm not saying let's not parent, I'm not saying let's not show authority, but let's balance. Let's find more times of play, more times of joking. And Micah is so playful. I don't know about other children. That boy likes to play. I think maybe because he's alone. Yes. And then also the age. He likes to run around, beat chest, and I think it's because he's by himself. Maybe. And so he's so playful, and I think sometimes when we get back home, we're also tired. And then we play like for 2 minutes, and then he still has energy, and and so I find that connection is very important in getting your children to listen to you, and even in finding opportunities to train, because we do a lot of parenting and instruction and teaching, which is all great, and there's a place for it, but I think we also need to spend equally as much time connecting with our children.
I know that as women, this just came up, it's a short one. As women, we want to be heard. As wives, we want to be heard. Why would you think your little child does not want to be heard? Maybe we rarely hear them out. We should hear them out more often.
So gentle parenting emphasizes understanding, empathy, respect, and boundaries. So it has those like 4 values or 4 pillars. How do you think parents can practice gentle parenting without losing the discipline aspect?
It reminds me of that statement where they say you'll tell someone to lie down, and then they walk on your back, and they will still complain that your back is not straight enough.
Goodness.
So these children, however gentle you are,
oh my God,
you know it, like
the back is not straight.
The back is not straight enough. So I think I like that balance. I like that balance. I want to understand it. There's a dance that needs to be done in parenting. Honestly, you can't be harsh all the way. And I like that you already spoke into it. Like, if we are disciplining, let's get more time for play, so that the bond comes, regardless of the fact that I spanked you yesterday. After today, we are now in games. So for me, that's what I understand by this gentle parenting. I'm not going to be swift on you and let you lie on me, and then you'll say, mommy, your back is not straight enough. I feel like that's how gentle it can get. They won't even understand the gentleness. You get.
Take it for granted.
So yeah, they'll take it for granted. So when I cane you today, I want to bond with you tomorrow with like coffee. Oh, if I do this, so for me, that's how I normally do that dance. That's the discipline and balance.
So I guess because of our gentle parenting, sometimes it can be misunderstood. Yeah, there is boundaries. So the way I understand gentle parenting is that it doesn't mean that you don't do what you're supposed to do with a child. No. It's just that you hear, you empathize, yeah? You understand where they were coming from. So you find a boy susuring, let's say on the what? On the wall, he's there splashing himself. The immediate thing that you want to do is to get up and wash him, then tell him to get a cloth and to clean the thing and to write in a book. I'm sorry, I will never susu on the, I will always go to the potty and I susu, you know those things. That's probably what's in your mind. But what gentle parenting says is, okay, sit down. Why are you susuring on the wall? Say, no, mommy, my susu is a fountain. It's doing water. It's like this shwa. And I'm trying to think like I'm enjoying. And then the plants are going to grow. And here there is going to be a garden. Okay. That you are hearing that actually your child is on a science project. You, while you see a susuring child on the wall, your child is a science what? Is on a what? On a science project. So you tell him, Sebo, come and take me to where the toilet is. Show me the toilet. This is the toilet. This is where you do what? This is where you pee. Your susu is not a fountain. If you want a fountain, there's a fountain at Golden Tulip. If you want a fountain, there's fountains here. But your susu is not a fountain. Now, you still go through, they still have to go and clean the wall. They still have to go and write the note. I will never susu on the floor, on the wall. I will know that this is, they still go through the process of the disciplining or the punishment that you wanted to do. But you have come from a place also of, and now next time you go to bond with him, you bond at a fountain. He said, now that's a fountain, Mukwano. To dangamu, to bring here, you are open, it's not your pee. Please, that's fountaining. So for me, what I found to help me to balance is when I go and I find them doing something, I want to remember my anger. Because sometimes with gentle parenting, you can forget your anger. So I want to remember it and how it felt and what therefore I wanted to do. Then we will have that conversation, that connection, conversation and all of that. And then the punishment. They're just like, anyway, after this, I'm still going to do what I'm supposed to do. Wow.
I think you've explained it very, very well. Very, very well. People tend to imagine that gentle punishment, gentle parenting eliminates the last part. And that's where we get it wrong. A lot of people think gentle parenting is something new that hasn't been part of our society for many years. I believe it has been, but exactly the way you explained it.
It just has a name now.
Exactly, it has it's been there. Yes, I think that really made sense.
My mom practiced gentle parenting, so I think one of the reasons that I'm so keen on it is, well, one, personality, but also two, because it's what I saw growing up. I remember my mom used to, when we'd do something wrong, she'd call us into the room. Of course, so she'd send us for what she's going to use to cane us. Yeah, she's not yelling. She's just like, so now, go outside, you get the stick that I'm going to use. And usually, by the way, Chiboko was also escalation. It would be something that she has consistently been telling, yes, and we have adamantly refused to do it. Yeah, just go and bring the stick. And then would sit in there, and she was a Sunday school teacher, so she would say, so do you remember that verse that says, foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. Correction will drive it far away. So would recite the scripture, and she'd be like, okay.
Oh, wow.
And then she'd be like, I'm not beating you because I hate you. I'm beating you because I love you, and I want you to turn out okay.
Okay.
This entire time you are just like.
I'm not beating you, I'm beating the foolishness.
out of you. So I'm just like, you guys, we must be adopted. Because what kind of mother beats their child and then explains that they love them? Because after that chiboko, she would grab us and give us hugs and say, I love you very much. I've told you over and over again, don't do this thing. It's for your own good. When you grow up and have your own home, I'm just like,
But it's so strange because there's a form of gentle parenting that I read about. That is not that. This gentle parenting that you guys are talking about is the balance. It's not gentle parenting. Let me tell you about real gentle parenting. The real gentle parenting. Yes. Gentle parenting is where the consequence of an action or lack thereof of a child should be natural. Yes. Natural meaning, when you see a child, let's use Manuela's example. I understood it well in the example I read in the book, but let me try to use yours. The one of peeing on the wall. You're not allowed. The punishment for that should be, why don't you want him to pee on the wall? So it should be a natural consequence that when you pee on the wall, that wall gets stained. And then mom and dad have to invest money. Then one, it looks bad. It doesn't look nice in the house. That's number one. Number two, your pee is going to smell. For us,
so they keep calling you to come and smell your pee.
Number three, mom and dad have to invest money to repaint that wall. That child cannot go and clean that wall until they've understood that. The natural consequence is what they call the natural consequence. It should not be an artificial consequence. Artificial consequence is time out, is go and clean the wall, go and do, is consequences that you're impacting on the child for them to guide their behavior. Real gentle parenting takes calm and patience until you have instilled the fact. So when they ask the child, why did you not pee on the wall? It is not that mommy will beat me. It is that when I pee on the wall gets stained, the wall smells for the house. That thing of I'm beating you because I love you, there is no beating, there is no timeout, there are no real repercussions. You have to be able to strengthen your bond with your child so much that you are communicating. And when you communicate, when they respond, there is no fear.
Whether in your presence.
There is no fear, whether in your presence or not.
Yes. It might not be practical, but I think when you look at it, it is the most solid way. Because, this child grows up knowing that whatever I do at the end of the day, the consequence comes from me, the choice is mine. They usually own up faster to things that they've done, unlike how
there's a thin line there, but that's gentle. That's gentle.
I also feel like it can't be the only mode of parenting.
Of course. Yeah, that's what you think because of a bias that you have.
I don't know.
It is a bias.
Because I understand, I see how an adult who can take responsibility for their actions is a desired outcome. However, I don't know if you can use that mode of parenting alone because I think that there are times where I have learned how to take responsibility for my actions, and then there are times where it has been taught to me to take responsibility.
Yeah, because that's a thing. Because there's a place for there's a place for logical consequences where it has to be taught. Like someone has to teach. Has to teach. So
So there's actually a parenting book I read called "The Good Thing About Bad Behavior," and they were trying to look at the authoritative kind of parenting and the gentle style of parenting, and then authoritarian. What is it? Authoritarian and gentle, and then the passive. Is it the passive? The passive, where you like just be there. God will guide His children. So and it was what I really got out of that book was you've got to really pay attention, keen on your children's personality types. Personality, temperaments, and their needs. More dominant children, like son, actually respond more to an authoritarian kind of parenting and find gentle parenting to be, so they're kids who respond to authority. it disturbs their mind. Yeah, it's like we don't know what to do. Like, what are we doing? What is this? There needs to be structure. And it also found that the children actually who respond best to gentle parenting are sensitive children. Sensitive and hypersensitive children. If you know that in your home you have a child who is more sensitive, gentle parenting is ideally what works better.
Even for a very dominant child, they might do something, they can do 2 wrongs. And for each of those wrongs, you apply a different type of parenting. Yeah, one you might need to be passive. Some you might need to be passive and watch and see how does this go. How will this play out? Yeah, what will this look like? So I think we need a lot of wisdom.
Are we?
We need
maybe a blend.
I think a blend of both.
You need wisdom. Or even trial and error, like of the blend. You say, where you can say, Mwana wango,
True.
Cast I do this? Because ultimately what you want is change in behavior. Willing change in behavior, where they understand what it is they've done wrong and that they are now willing, therefore, to change. Just because a child has changed and they've stopped that behavior doesn't mean they were willing.
True.
Yeah. They must have been coerced. Yeah. So when you find what it is that change them, say, it looks like my son, when this happens and I do this, I get a willing child willing to change.
Yes. Actually, I wanted to can we go back to the video? Yeah, can we go back to the video? Yeah, we are here for the video. So I read a few of the comments on the original video, and a lot of them seem to be alluding to the fact that, and I think the audience of those comments was in America, typical scenario in the home of a single parent household. Yeah, and I think when we also just started this conversation,
we all assume,
maybe she's a single mom, you know, and which is, I guess, more natural or valid. So do you think that the absence of a father, could have attributed, whether at a small level or at a high level, do you think that the absence of a father could have attributed to 1, the actions of the child, and 2, to the subsequent punishment?
So I think yes, and I'm going to go back to what you said, Pumla. We underestimate, and again, this is not to say single moms, it's your fault that you're where you are. I'm just saying that we underestimate the power of connection between a mother and a father, and then between parents and a child, and for them to constantly see that connection playing out and growing before their eyes. And a lot of, when children are born, we say that they cry to communicate because they can't talk. But even when children are much older and now they can speak, there's a lot of emotion that they don't know how to process. There's a lot of emotion that they don't know how to communicate. So they will either act out, you said expressing their whatever it is that is going on in there. And so I think that, yes, it is possible that there not being a dad, a father figure in the home or present in the child's life could have contributed to the way he reacted. Because I really do believe, yes, they called in a veteran and he was doing something, but I feel like children's actions, just like adults, are usually based on something that is going on in the inside of you. We talk about how when someone is anxious, they're going to behave a certain way. Maybe they're going to say things that they don't mean to say. When people are angry, they're going to hurt other people. When people are sad, they're going to behave a certain way. And I think it's the same with children. I think many times we look down upon children because you're a child, you're supposed to listen to instruction, therefore do as I say because I don't have time and all of these things. But I think many times we forget that they're human beings and that they're dealing with things that they don't have the right words to express and say, maybe I would have appreciated seeing my dad or having a connection with my dad or having a friendship with my dad. So I really do believe that, it is very possible that the absence of a dad could have brought about his actions, and therefore for the mom to say, okay, let me find another maybe male individual to put him in his place.
And I think it's amazing that the absence of a father affects them in a certain way that they also can't understand. Like they are bitter all the time, but when you ask, they can't put it in words, they can't express it. but you know for a fact that this boy is acting like this because the father is not present. And there's also homes where the father might be present, but he's not involved at all. He's not involved at all. So yeah, like it's broken. Every time he sees the father, they are quarreling with the mom. So I think the best gift you can give to children is a healthy home. You don't even have to do many things. Just have a healthy home where you communicate well with your wife. If you're quarreling, you hide. You don't do it in their presence. You know, all they see is a healthy lifestyle in this home. Surprisingly, everything will kind of fall in line because of what you are, you know, showing them. You don't even have to talk. Now for that boy who has an absent father, like we are just speaking to him. If the father was present and involved and they were happy, you don't need to talk. You don't. You don't need to even talk, have these conversations. Yeah.
It's a journal on psychology with so many different things, but I usually read the section that talks about co-parenting because I'm in that co-parenting journey. And the author then just to quote him, he said that children who grow up in homes without present fathers usually tend to manifest behavioral problems. And in a disguise and because they take on a swaggering, intimidating persona as the children to disguise their fears, their underlying fears, their resentments, their anxieties, their unhappiness, which is actually caused by an underlying sense of abandonment. And that abandonment can exist even in a home with a father.
Yes. True.
A physically present father. Yes. But that usually would mean, and this was mostly for boys, so he usually focuses on boy children, on the boy children. But he said it's general, but then it comes out more strongly for boy children. Yeah. So I will share with you a story. My son, my biggest fear for my son, when I had chosen to excuse myself from my marital household, was that his father would not come on board with co-parenting. You know, there are men who are so mean and self-absorbed that when you choose to separate, they will look for anything in the world to hurt you, the woman. Yeah. And how do you hurt women? Through their children. Yeah. So if a man decides and says that, okay, you've decided to take the child, because me, I was never going anywhere without my child. I'm that mother. I will never move without my child because my child is my child. And if you choose not to engage in a civil engagement, I'll fight you to the death for my child. So my biggest fear always was having to do that fight. I preferred the fight between the two options. The one where the man says, okay, you've left, you go with your child. It's okay. And take care of them. That's what you want. You want to go, you go with your child. I feared that possibility so much more than his father dragging me to court. Yeah. I said I would rather drag it out of court because now I can see he's fighting for his child. I want my son to always know that his parents will fight for him. Always. Because there's nothing, and I'm so sorry for single moms or single dads that can fill the gap of a child who feels abandoned. Yeah. Nothing. A child will always feel that you did not love them. Yeah. And you know, when you've not lived like that, you'll always wonder, but can't you see, your mother loved you. She poured everything into you. She was there for you. She plugged into all those spaces. She even got for you people, a community, a support system you never lacked just for you. But that child was born of XY chromosome. Mm-hmm. And that is it. And you as a mother can only plug in one chromosome. That is it. You only offer an X chromosome to that child. Nothing else. So already biologically, even without thinking it through it too much, the science dictates that a child is born of a man and a woman. So that gap is not, you can't feel it biologically. But you can create an environment, a support system. You can try. And let me tell you, there are children who can thrive in single-parent homes. There are children who thrive in single-parent. We see them. We've been with them. We work with them. But what I have seen, the difference is between those children and the ones who don't, who break, is the communication and connection between the single parent in the home and the children. That is the only separating factor. When you ask a single mother, what are you going to tell your child when the father is not there? A mother who responds and says, we'll get there when we get there. My friend, you're doing your child a disservice. A disservice. You read, plug yourself in spaces, look for me. There are always women around you who have walked that journey. And that's the beauty about these experiences, that there are women who have crawled and dug themselves through dust just so that you don't have to. Again, why Bump Love is here. Because there are women who have gone through shit like that. So you don't have to suffer as much as some of us did. Even there are people I looked to, so I didn't suffer as much. Even me, I struggled. I have my struggles, right? Where people see me smiling every day. But you have no idea. You have no idea the journey I walked. You have no idea. And you see, I'm talking about this, and the single moms have told me, but Pamela, you're lucky. Your baby daddy, co-parents, you guys are civil. He was mature. You have no idea. That's not how it happened. No. It took a lot of sacrifice on my part. Me with this big ego, you see, I had to kakana myself. Just so that my child could have a present father in the household. And there have been times when my son's father went to walk away, and I saw a change in my son. And I tried to plug in, different male figures to help him. And it really helped. It really did. But it wasn't the same. I saw the difference when his father came back. And this woman called a veteran, but there are times I can't even handle. I've been with my son for 14 years. But there are things that, I don't know what's happening. I reach a point where I'm like, what the hell is this? I just pick up the phone. Me and my son's father, we have scheduled, visits. But there are times when it's me, he's with me, and I don't understand what's happening, and it's not his weekend. I just pick up and I say, Gateja's father, this is what is going on. Those days I would call him and say, this is what is going on. What do you think? And then he would have the phone and speak. But now, because he's a teenager, he says, it's okay, let him come home. Let him come. I'll pick him up on Friday. You guys, Gateja comes back a different person.
Wow.
I don't know.
She doesn't know what
happens. All I check for is, usually what I check for in my child is like that intimidation. I don't want my child to be broken, But he comes back even happier. There's something that changes in him. There's a bond between a father and a son that we underrate. People talk about mothers and their sons. But you guys, the bond with the fathers, the
good fathers,
you have no idea. And this is a healthy relationship. By the way, whenever we speak here, we are talking about the healthy relationships, not the other masavu. We are now on the meat of the conversation. So I have honestly been witness to it between my son and his father, that when there's a conversation that goes on there that I have no idea about, I don't know how it happens, I don't know how they relate, and then when he drops me back, I always ask him, by the way, so what did you do? And he says, no, I just talked it. We just had a conversation. And there are times, I think, when he was able to tell me, now, again, because I've started leading with connection, my son will tell me, about things that we do. And now what we are, no, he doesn't tell me the conversation. That stays in their household. What I have seen now that he tries to do is to connect his emotions with his behavior. So, and that is something that I'm trying to nurture into him also. For my son to understand that when you do something, when you act out, it is usually not intentional. Usually you're projecting something that is deep within you. So sometimes what is that hurt you? Maybe someone hurt you during that day. Maybe someone upset you. Maybe you read a comment on social media that triggered you, and now you're coming to project on someone else. It happens from a very young age. It happens to them. So I'm trying to, introspection, that's the word. This past holiday, I felt that there's something my son saw I yelled, I have no road rage. I back there pat myself on the back to be one of the few Ugandans that has no road rage. When someone just cuts me off, does anything, drives like a hooligan, I just move on because I fear someone may remove a gun and shoot me. My child is still young. So my son, I think, has seen that. But I think I had been triggered by a conversation that had been going on before. And a guy came in a really big car, and I just parked my car small RAV4 here in front of him. You know, and I was like, but you're on the wrong side of the road. Where are you? And I was like, and my son was right there in the passenger seat. And then afterwards, I was just like, why am I even wasting my time? And I drove away. Later, when we were home, my son came to me and asked me, Mom, are you okay? Was your day, did you have a good day today? And indeed, I didn't have a good day. So I told him, you know, I was messed up by some conversations that we had been having, and but it will be okay. And he's like, oh, okay. So I asked him, where did you get that from? What did you think about it? Said, no, I just noticed that your mood was a little off. So I was just trying to find out maybe if you didn't have a nice day. But that should have been okay. It's later when he left that I realized it's not that he was reading me. It's just that he knew I had overreacted. So that showed me that even him, there are times when he will overreact over certain things. It has nothing to do with the sin, that's what's happening in that moment, but more to do with who made you feel how you felt for you to respond to somebody else like that. There's that saying, heal, well, they tell you that heal so that you don't bleed on those that did not cut you, you know. And because that's what happens a lot. People just act out, but you're not the problem. That mother is not the problem. The mother in the video is most likely not, she might be, but she's most likely not the problem. There might be some underlying issues, different frustrations elsewhere that need to be tackled.
No, I mean, I think I always keep saying dads, and I think men in Africa in particular, there's a cycle that just has to be broken. Like with you guys, like the men of now, you just have to decide and say, no, we're going to do different, because this thing has come like way from the, you come from an involved father in that long, because they used to go hunting with their sons, they used to go to the well, they would be involved in it. Then after that, some things happen in the marriage, then they withdraw from their wives, then the wives are single, the single mothers are raising just boys now, boys who don't want to be men, quote unquote, then they're the ones in a marriage, then as in that entire cycle just keeps going on and on. What they saw, what they had, and I think the time has come where you say, I might not be a great husband, but I will be a great father. Because when you're a great father, your son will be a great husband. I'm not of those ones of, oh, if he didn't have a great father, a great husband, his father wasn't a great husband, then he can't be a great husband. No. I really think that the way the world works, when you're a great father, you open up your son to hear instruction, to hear advice, to see. Our Africa really has to change, and I truly believe that while women have a role to play, I believe that they are working at it, they are going. The men who, the other our counterparts have sat. Men have sat, men are chilling. We need you. Men, we can't do this alone, because we can't raise those boys, you know, we can't raise them unless we have you. So for me, when I saw this thing, indeed it looks like she's in a single home, but I felt like for this one, I just wanted to say men, fathers, no. It's time for us to change.
I was reminded that most of the DMs we get from mothers and women that are living this single life is that frustration that there's no one helping them to discipline children. Like with all these other frustrations, then you add, you know, having to discipline. Exactly to that point of the lady. Like Bambi, she already has frustrations. Then also you add in a very indisciplined child. So it's such a major issue that needs for the men to come in and help us. Yeah.
That's true. Angie.
But I guess what we've said today, it comes down to family, family, family. You fix family, and I think we could fix any problem in the world. Yeah, to be honest.
So we're not allowed to have bad manners. We're just going to find a way with each other, knowing fully well that between man and woman, the relationship between us determines what happens with our children, and therefore what happens to our country. Wow. And so that's why why don't you bring your children and your wife or husband to Golden Tulip? Because to fix these relationships. Because Golden Tulip has one of like the most amazing ambience for you to enjoy quality conversations, deep conversations with your loved ones and even with your children. Time for you to connect, and Golden Tulip is just the place. Now, if you got a girl, a wife, a baby mama, do you know you can get her hair done with Zuri Luxury, like 8 hours? You can get them dressed by fashion episode. Like, we're banging. Like, look at this. Like, look at the color. They got me wearing color. Friends, fashion episode got me wearing color. Who does that? Yeah. And then don't forget to add those shoes for you to have some wonderful shoes from Shoe Puzzle. The Face Beats by Shades of Beauty. And all of this by you, our viewers, Bump Love. Until next week, bye-bye. Mwah.
Bump Love was brought to you by
Unlimited internet at unbeatable prices. Dial *125# to activate your monthly unlimited internet. Airtel, a reason to imagine.